What about up here?
Yeah, now we're good.
Okay. I got my PhD at the University of California, Santa Barbara in 2014, and I research and teach contemporary US literature, as well as something called digital humanities, which for me means something like a methodology or an approach to studying literature. And digital humanities, from a literary studies perspective, just means using digital technologies to explore, analyze, and make kind of publicly accessible literary texts from all periods, but I focus on the contemporary period the most. And I'll be teaching ENG 380, which is contemporary literature, and the subtitle of the class is going to be What is Contemporary About Contemporary Literature? And we're going to be reading a bunch of US literature, mostly novels, but some poetry, that's been published in the past 10 years or so. But all of this fiction is going to be about times that are other than contemporary. So times in the future, times in the past, time that is not now, but it's fiction that has been published very recently. And so some of the questions that we're going to be trying to answer in that class are questions like, what is it, not just what does the contemporary mean, or what does it mean to be contemporary, but also how do we get a handle on the contemporary moment, this moment that is always, by its very nature, kind of very ephemeral and passing away. How can we understand the contemporary moment as being infused not just with history and the past and memory, but also with desires and expectations and fears for the future? We're going to be reading a lot of cool texts in the class, one of which is Emily St. John Mandel's Station 11, which is a work of speculative fiction that takes place in a near future where a troupe of actors travels around a post-apocalyptic US putting on versions of Shakespeare's plays. We're also going to be reading speculative alternative histories like Colson Whitehead's The Underground Railroad, which was just published in August, and it takes place in the antebellum South, but it's about what would happen if the Underground Railroad were actually a railroad that ran underground, carrying enslaved people north. We're going to be reading works of science fiction like Charles Yu's How to Live Safely in a Science Fictional Universe, which is about a time machine repairman and the power of memory. We're going to be reading historical fiction like Viet Nguyen's The Sympathizer, which is about a spy novel about a communist sleeper agent living in the US after the Vietnam War. We're going to be reading a novel by Rachel Kushner called The Flamethrowers, which is about the avant-garde art scene in New York in the 1970s and its connection to Italian political revolutionaries. So one of my hopes is that the literature that we're going to be reading is going to help us all to kind of think through how the contemporary moment could have been otherwise and will be otherwise. And so one of the things that I think is really great about reading contemporary literature, especially the stuff that we're going to be reading, is that it allows you to kind of get a handle on and to recognize the contingency of the contemporary moment, to realize that things could always have gone another way, that real change is possible. And I think that contemporary literature is the perfect medium through which to explore those questions because it allows you to imagine otherwise. So reading a lot of cool stuff.